What is going on, friends? Pete Moriarty here. Wonderful to have you here. We are doing another open Q&A on everything Google Workspace and small business technology. If you're interested in dropping me a question, and I'll do my best to answer it live, head along to ask.itgenius.com. ask.itgenius.com. You can drop a question in live. I'm going to get to as many of these questions as I can. And if you're on the live stream, please make sure you say hello. Maybe you're on Facebook, maybe you're on YouTube. Let me know where you're watching from. Always love to connect if you're on the live. If you're watching the replay, awesome. Say hi as well in the comments. I try to get to as many of the comments as I can. Now, before we go ahead and get started and jump in, big announcement today. We've announced our upcoming bootcamp for Google Workspace. It's happening April. That's about 1 month from now, April 16 on Tuesday. It's a half-day bootcamp for everything Google Workspace. We call this the Basics Bootcamp. And basically the point of this is to help anyone who's got a Google Workspace account but doesn't feel like they're confident in administering it, or perhaps you're someone who had it set up by someone else and you just want to make sure you're getting the most out of the platform. Everybody who comes to that session says that they learn things that they just did not know were there, even if they've been using the app for sometimes 5 or 10 years' time. So if you're interested in Google Workspace, if you want to come along to our bootcamp, head along to itgenius.com/bootcamp. Really easy to access. It's just a couple $100 to join that. It's in Aussie dollars. There are early bird tickets available right now, so go ahead and jump onto that if you have not already. Look out for it in your email. There'll be a link there as well if you're already on our mailing list. If you've downloaded an ebook or something from our site, you'll get that, and we would love to see you there. We have amazing, amazing, amazing ratings from that every time we run it, and we usually only run 2 a year. So if you want to come and check that out, jump onto that, itgenius.com/bootcamp, and you will be able to jump in and grab tickets. Now, not only can you get a ticket for yourself, you can grab one for your team. And my recommendation would be, don't bring the whole company. This is designed for senior leaders, managers, and people who are kind of like responsible for administering the Google account. And so I would recommend, if you're a business owner, you come along yourself. But also if you've got an office manager or operations manager or IT manager, someone who's responsible for making sure that Google Workspace is running well, bring them along too. And we actually have a team ticket available on the website. And that team ticket allows you to bring up to 3 people, which is our recommendation. And you'll all get an ability to learn together in one place. And of course, you can answer questions live. And the great thing about Bootcamp is we implement in the room. It's a highly practical session. And so it's all about helping you get the most out of the platform, but also getting it done there. Everyone hates going to a webinar or a seminar, getting a whole bunch of homework, and then not getting it done or not ever implementing it. So we actually implement in the room together, and I bring along some of my support staff who are there to help if you need additional support, if you need additional hand-holding, if you've got questions. We've got little breakout sessions that we go into, and we can help you out with that. Okay, let's get started. Today we are going through our questions, and I'm going to bring up my questions here, and head along to ask.itgenius.com. If you want to access these, you can drop in your question, and we also have here a democratic way of getting everyone's questions answered. You can upvote for questions that you want to see answered. So head along here if you're interested. You can join in. If you're on the live, please make sure you say hello. Matthias has said hello, g'day, welcome. And a question about Gemini. Awesome, yeah, that's a good question. I might even cover that first. If you're on the live, you get your questions covered first. That's how it works. You get preference. So if you have not yet checked out a live before, please make sure you come along to our lives whenever you can. If you're a subscriber to our channel, you should be able to just go to the channel, look for upcoming events. We usually are now scheduling that, well, not usually, not in the past, but now we're scheduling them about a week or 2 in advance. So you know when they're coming up, and you can just jump on a live stream, ask your questions live if you want. Otherwise, put them on the list, and I'll do my best to get to them. I've got like 40 on the list here, so we've got a few to get through. But let me first take a question here from Matthias. Am I using Gemini in Workspace yet under the Ultra/Advanced version? So Google give you the ability to use what was called Bard and was translated to a product called Duet inside of Google Workspace, but has since gone through a rebrand and is now just Gemini across the board within your Google Workspace ecosystem. Now, I'm paying for a license. Of course, I've got to test it. And I've got to say it's okay. I'm not fully impressed just yet. Google's made a lot of promises about what you will be able to do with Gemini inside of Workspace, and they haven't yet delivered on all of those by releasing all of the products. We're still waiting on a couple of those to be released. And the challenge with that is that we're kind of waiting on promises for Google to come to fruition. And sometimes they've had a good track record with that. Other times, not so much. So there are some cool things that you can do. If you're writing an email or responding to an email, you can use Gemini to read your email or read the email that someone sent to you, and then you can respond to that email automatically using Duet. Sorry, Gemini. I'm going to say Duet sometimes, just you'll have to deal with that. You can, if you're starting a slide presentation, ask for Duet to create some background pictures or create template images for you. And they will be AI-generated images that you can then insert into the document. That feature is also working now. If you're in a Google Meet and you want to have a nice pretty background for your meeting, you can choose to have an automatically generated meeting background inserted into your meeting. Now, the question is, are all of those features worth $20 a month or whatever it is? Right now for me, I wouldn't say so, unless there was a specific use case where maybe you just didn't like typing and so you want to use AI for your emails all the time. Maybe that would be a good reason for you to choose to use Gemini for your users or some of your users. Do I think it's an absolute slam dunk must-have for everyone now and you should roll it out to all of your employees? No, not necessarily. I don't think it's there yet. I am right now kind of like wait and see. Let's see how the next couple of months rollouts of tasks go, and let's see what happens. The challenge with Google is they've right now released Gemini to the public for free, right? And so if you receive an email from someone and you want to formulate a response using Google's AI tools, well, it's not that hard to just cut and paste that email into Gemini, get the response, and then cut and paste it back into your Gmail inbox. Yes, you don't get all of the context of a full email thread, perhaps, unless you click through and uncover that whole email thread before you paste it into Gemini. But you're going to be able to pretty much get the job done and use the free version of that for it. In some cases, using Gemini is just really not as great for questions or tasks as I've found with ChatGPT. And of course, I've got a paid plan for GPT. I've been using that for the times when Gemini just doesn't really nail questions for me. And unfortunately, there's been a number of times where I've just not really been impressed with the response I've got from Gemini. I've had to go over to GPT, and quite often it's nailed it on the first go. So I think at the end of the day, don't underestimate Google. They're, yes, playing catch up. They were a little bit behind the ball, as they are sometimes. They're a larger organization, and they can't move as fast with some of these new product releases. But expect that the tools will get better from Google over time. And we're going to keep you updated on the channel here on what our thoughts are. I have a video, it's not yet recorded, on all of my thoughts on what was Bard and is now Gemini. That'll come up to the channel sometime soon, so look out for that one. Great question. Thanks, Matthias. Yeah, Duet was horrible. Well, yeah, basically Gemini is just still Duet. Cool. Okay, so let's... yeah, I've not yet seen it incorporated into search or assistance, actually. Cool, but great question. That's a good one to get that one out of the way to start with. Okay, so let's jump into some of my questions that I've got here on the question list, and let's see what we can find. How can we fix reverse DNS does not match SMTP banner using Gmail? Oh, okay, cool. That is a very technical question. I'm not going to go through that one. I'm not going to go through that one myself. I may create a guide on it. Let me try and explain it. Reverse DNS is a function and a protocol of DNS related to name servers. And effectively, it's one of those little things that you've just got to have compliant in a certain way. It's usually easier to get a tech person to fix that for you, which is why we have engineers on call. You can buy a quick fix from our website and ask our team to fix reverse DNS, and they'll just get it fixed for you. It's highly dependent on which domain registration provider you're using and which DNS host you're using, because you need to configure those records to make sure that they're working correctly. If you're using a mainstream provider like GoDaddy, or maybe you've got your domain registered with something like Cloudflare. If you're seeing an error that your reverse DNS is not working, they should have a help guide to set your your reverse DNS correctly. And I've found, I haven't seen this happen in a long time, but I've found that reverse DNS errors tend to happen if you're using a cPanel web hosting server. So if you've got your web hosting server sitting on cPanel and you're running your DNS through cPanel, then that may be causing the issue. I don't think it happens with Cloudflare because I'm pretty sure reverse DNS is set up automatically. So sometimes, and DNS is a very broad spectrum, but sometimes the easiest thing to do to fix DNS issues is just to switch your DNS hosting over to Cloudflare. You get a bunch of really cool options and features for free with their free plan, and the free plan is good for most people if you're just starting out with the basics of getting your domains in order. I don't obviously earn anything from that. If you want to even have us host your Cloudflare, we don't make a margin on it. We just think it's a great app for businesses because you get features like a web application firewall, and that application firewall will help you to block some of the nasty attackers that may try and get access to your site or exploit your site. Cloudflare is also useful to improve the speed of your website because they cache some of the elements of your site on their servers for free, meaning that it will be delivered faster to your customers. So that's very useful. And we use Cloudflare across all of our customers. So if you become a customer of itGenius and you sign up for a concierge plan, our team will recommend that you switch over to Cloudflare for your DNS hosting so that we can better manage that. And it just removes a whole bunch of the issues that tend to pop up with DNS, and reverse DNS is one of those. All right, I said I wasn't going to go too much into detail, but I hope that's a good enough explanation and useful enough. All right, cool. I can mark that one as done. Great, that one's off the list. It was a popular one, so I think that's always important to try and get to those. Okay, cool. Matthias, I think they're going to be quick to market. Oh, yeah, all right, we're getting super technical there. Yeah, I'm very interested to see what Google do with their assistant. The weird thing about Google is they just launched too many products, right? They've got Assistant, but Assistant is not yet Gemini. Assistant was built and then it kind of just got left there, and they built a pretty decent ecosystem around Assistant, but like ChatGPT came out and just absolutely pantsed them, and so what does Google do? Well, they release, what was Bard and is now Gemini, and we're now stuck in like two product land, like we were with. Do you remember Duo calling? And we had Hangouts, and then they built Meet, and so we had 3 different video calling apps at the same time. And I can understand that. We develop software, and sometimes it's better to just start from scratch with a new concept. But the product portfolio of Google can be pretty darn consuming for users, and there's always this fear in the back of most people's minds that they might switch off an app that you're using or that you like. And I think that's really Google shooting themselves in the foot sometimes, because you end up in a situation where people don't really trust the product so much, therefore less adoption, and therefore Google's less likely to keep the product going and keep investing in the time in developing the product, because you just have less and less energy going into it from the users because they're worried that it might get shut down. Anyway, I could talk about that all day, but let's get back to our workspace questions. Okay, what do we got here? Oh, I was on the wrong camera. That's all right. Can Google Workspace admin read my one-on-one chats to other colleagues? I like a colleague at work. And we've chatted some. I'm scared if an admin can read this. Is there any way I can delete it permanently without admin ever getting to know? Oh, wow. Well, as we say in Australia, this is Noob Master 69. As we say in Australia, you might be up shit creek. Up shit creek without a paddle. A administrator in Google Workspace can see logs of email messages set in the admin panel. And when a log or when a conversation is created in Google Meet, a log will be made for that conversation, and messages being sent will create a log in the admin panel. Now, all that is doing is logging actions. It's not necessarily logging every single message. However, if your organization has switched on Google Vault, then Google Vault will take a carbon copy of every message in the organization and stash that copy in the vault. even messages that you then subsequently delete. And if you're on a Business Plus plan or an Enterprise plan, you get access to Google Vault. You can then apply it to all of the messages within your organization. Now, you can only save messages from that point forward when Google Vault is configured to retain all information. But if that's been configured in the past and you've sent a message, even if you've deleted it, there will still be a copy in Vault. Now, you may wonder, why is this useful? If you're a legal business, of course it's useful. If you're in financial services, of course it's useful. If you're doing any kind of consulting where you have some kind of compliance or maybe a defense contract, and you need the additional ability to save and be able to retrieve all of the data within your organization, even in the case of a malicious employee potentially deleting it or someone accidentally deleting something, Google Vault is an absolute lifesaver. It really is essential to businesses that want to be able to retrieve information just in case something happens. However, for other businesses, it may be useful in the case of accidental deletion. I had our CEO, Scott, send me a really important strategic message just last week. And he, instead of cutting and pasting that message into our task management app, Asana, which he planned to do, he accidentally hit the delete button from his mobile app in chat, and the message was lost. Now, he messaged me and he said, "Hey, Pete, oh my God, I just wrote you this great message. It was an amazing business strategy, but I'm a dummy and I hit the wrong button and I just lost it. I'm really bummed about it. Let's have a meeting about it next week." And me, being the clever cookie that I did, went straight into Google Vault and I was able to retrieve the deleted message, cut and paste it back to him. And so, yes, beware anything that you put inside a work-based application, especially chat. Basically, just assume if you're using a work account for something, your employer or your IT administrator can see absolutely everything in there. Just expect that. In this case, for this person, yeah, wow, you might have to explain that to HR one day. The interesting thing is that hashtag I'm not a lawyer, but most organizations ethically need to have a reason to go and dig into your messages, before they just go and do that. Yes, it's fair enough that they should be monitoring messages for anyone who may be, causing potential harm to the company. That's understandable. But reading direct messages between employees, I think, on an ethical basis, HR should really have a good reason for that, or IT should really have a good reason for that before they go and do it. Now, does everyone wait until they have a good reason? No, not necessarily. And that's why we have these kind of controls locked down to administrators and hopefully internal processes that would dictate when it is appropriate to go and read or view somebody else's messages. Now, all of this is ideally inserted into your employment agreement that you have with your employees or your contractors, that communications may be monitored inside the company for the safety of the business and for the safety of employees. So if you're someone who's working for somebody else, my advice to you is be very careful about anything that you put inside of a work-based app, no matter what that app is. And if you're an IT administrator or a business owner, make sure that that's in your employment agreement before you switch this feature on and start monitoring staff. Of course, seek the appropriate legal advice before you go and switch on a feature like that. And from there, make sure that you're not reading people's messages when you shouldn't or when that may create distrust with your team. That's my opinion. I hope that's useful. Okay. Lovely. Let's move on to the next one. That's hilarious. I think that's the best question I've ever got on this. Okay. I have a cPanel email and I would like to transfer all of my emails to Google Workspace. Great question. So there's many ways to transfer or migrate your email into Google Workspace. You need to go through the account setup process where you register your domain name, what's it called? You authorize to Google that you own the domain, and from there you are effectively allowing Google to activate your account. But the second step of the process is to then start delivering new emails across to your Workspace account. Once that's done, the final step is migrating your email. And migrating your email could come from multiple different places. It might come from Outlook, it might come from IMAP, it might come from a computer that's sitting in a drawer somewhere and you want to upload your old emails. Maybe you've even got a Microsoft 365 account. Each one of these has different methods. We've got some videos where we've covered different methods of how to do that technology. let me try and get my words right here. We've got some different videos on the channel on how to get that done using different types of migration-based technology. If you happen to be migrating from an IMAP source, well, you can use some of the online tools built into Google Workspace to migrate emails from that IMAP server into your Workspace mailboxes, or you may choose to use third-party tools to make that happen as well. There's other tools available on the market, and they will help you to have some additional features when migrating email that the built-in Google tools don't have. Finally, if you're interested in working with a partner, itGenius are specialists in migrating email, and we've literally migrated tens of thousands of mailboxes over about 15 years we've been in business now. And so if you want help with this, this is our business, and we know how to make sure you never lose any email through the process. There'll be no downtime for your customers. No one gets any bounce backs. And we do it cloud to cloud. So we've got specialized tools that will make all that work in the background so your work and your business is not interrupted. Most people who try and do a migration themselves end up spending all weekend or all week reading instruction manuals, getting things wrong, messing up their data, and it just turns into a bit of a mess, which is why our company exists, to make that easy. And so we're a good arbitrage for your time if you want some help doing a migration. And if you're interested in that, click on the link down below this video and you can get in touch with our team. They'll scope it out for you. And we've got deals from solopreneurs. If you're just a one-person business, we've got a deal for you, right up to large organizations as well. Cool. Okay, good question. Let's move on to our next one. And if you're on the live and you haven't said hello yet, please make sure you say hello. Drop me a little chat. Say hi. Always love catching up with our audience. I'd love to know where you're watching from. Let me know where you're watching from. And if you want to ask a question, just pop it into ask.itgenius.com. Just going to drop that in here for you. If you want to come to our bootcamp, which is happening very soon, head along to itgenius.com/bootcamp. Everything to do with the basics of Google Workspace. This is a must. This is an absolute must for Google Workspace. Okay, let's get into our next question, huh? Is it possible to migrate my Namecheap emails and existing folder structure with said saved emails over to Google Workspace and keep the order it is currently in? Okay, well, Namecheap is still, I presume, an IMAP service, so let's do a follow-up to what I just covered in the previous question. If you've got a list of folders like your inbox, your outbox, sent mail, and all the subfolders that you've got there, you want to make sure that those come across. So when you use one of the migration tools, that's its job, to bring your inbox across and to bring across all of your folders as well. You want to be careful and make sure that all of those folders are collected and all of the emails come across when you actually do this migration process, so you don't lose anything. Because if you're going to go and cancel your other email service, you don't want any of your emails to disappear. The other important thing to make note of and be very careful with is the date that you decide to cut over your emails, right? If you have a scenario where you're moving your emails from your existing email host over to Google, and that's taking some time, when you change your DNS records, they're called MX records, to deliver your mail, you want to make sure that you've got all of your email across when you make that change. Otherwise, your emails will still be going to your old mailbox. And that's where some of the specialist tools can make things a little bit easier. They can run what's called a delta migration, which means that after the bulk of your emails have been moved across and you've then switched over your DNS records, which can take 24 to 48 hours for everyone's new emails to start arriving in your new inbox, well, a delta migration will go and clean up just the new emails that have arrived in your old inbox and move them safely over into your new Google Workspace account. Final step in the process is, of course, to verify that all your folders, your inbox and your outbox are across. And the easiest way to do that is to do a count of the number of emails that were in your old mailbox. They shouldn't be deleted. They've probably just been copied. And how many emails are in the new mailboxes. And just triple check and verify to make sure that all of those emails have come across into the right folders in the right numbers. And you probably want to do some other basic checks like opening a couple of emails and checking that the attachments are there, just to make sure that the migration tool hasn't stripped any of your important business information. Okay, great question. That's a good one. I wasn't on my A camera, but that's all right. I feel sorry for the editors working on this video. Okay, let's mark that one complete. Okay, is there a way to link a Google Sheet into Google Workspace tasks? Additionally, we have Google Sheets with data. Oh, I covered this last time. Oh, I mustn't have ticked it off. Okay. All right. How I know who administrator of my Google... Oh, okay, cool. So how do I know who's the administrator of my Google Workspace account? That's a good question. I'm not sure if you can see that in the interface. From memory, the way that we manage getting into an account that's, say, been locked out, is that we will just guess. I think it's a trial and error process. We'll try admin at, we'll try Bob at, we'll try Sarah at, all the emails that we think might be the super administrator. There might be another way, but I will have to confer with my team. So if you're locked out of, either way, if you're locked out of Google Workspace, we have a great product on our website. It's called Quick Fix. And that Quick Fix product will cover lockouts from your account. So if you're locked out of your account and you need to get back into your account for whatever reason, it may be that you stuffed up your DNS records and Google thinks you're a scammer and they've locked you out. It might be that, I don't know, you got a virus on your computer and you sent too many emails out of your Gmail and Google have locked down your account for suspicious activity. It might be that, what else? You're going through a divorce and your spouse has decided to lock you out of the admin panel. Don't laugh. It happens all the time, about one a month. we got 25,000 customers. Like, it happens all the time. So if you're locked out, head along to our website, itgenius.com, jump on a Quick Fix. That's the easiest way to get support from our team. And if it's during business hours, which are, we cover most of the US hours. I think we start around 10 a.m., 11 a.m. Eastern time. We cover all of Pacific time. And we cover all of Australian business hours as well. So it's basically 2 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sydney time. Our team are there ready to rock and roll. They're on chat with consultants ready to fix your issue right now. So if you need some help, just let us know. Reach out. And you can chat to them too. We've got live chat on the website. If you just got a question, just jump on live chat and have a chit chat to the team there. We're still building out our US team, so we usually have about I think 2 or 3 full-time on US hours at the moment, handling chat. But we're building that team out pretty rapidly as we get more and more customers, which is great. Okay, next question. Can the admin see the location of the device connected to the workspace? For example, what country they are logging in from? Great question. Isn't it interesting that our world is changing and we are opening up to the idea of working remotely and working from anywhere thanks to COVID? We've had a big acceleration in the work from home and work anywhere movement. Now, the interesting thing as COVID was happening for us was that we had already been working remotely for 6 years prior to COVID. And we had already set up the systems and the processes and basically got our team running smoothly as a remote company before COVID happened. And so for us, it was a bit of a like, cool, we're glad you caught up, guys. Nice work. However, that's opened up some pretty interesting challenges for businesses, such as staff who want to disappear and go and live in another country and still work for their business, such as some staff who are working multiple jobs at the same time and earning double salaries when not quite putting in the time that they should be putting in to each one of those individual jobs. And I'm assuming, or my gut feeling says, that this question is surrounded around someone who maybe wants to be somewhere else and not have their company know when they're checking in for work. Now, the solution for this, if you're a business owner, is obviously to promote a hybrid work setup where you're asking people to come into the office at least 1 day a week and you're incentivizing them in some way for that to be a good experience. I don't think you should make that rule just for the sake of it. I think you should make that rule only if it's valuable to your company and it's valuable to your staff. In our case, our team work from wherever. We don't have an office, so they can work from a co-working space. They're dotted all over the world in different places. So we're very much in the promotion of work wherever you want, as long as the work gets done and you're performing well, we're happy. But if you've got an employee and they want to work from somewhere outside the country maybe, well, can you see where someone's working on the Google account? Well, on the basic premise that each one of your connections to Google Workspace is going to log the IP address that is accessing it, yes, for the most part, someone is going to be able to see the general country level location that you're in when you're connecting to your Workspace account. You can see those reports in the admin panel, in the audit reports. And so jumping into your admin panel, admin.google.com, heading to your audit reports, you'll be able to see where someone is accessing an account from. There are also additional measures. There are also additional measures that an administrator can take if they want to have a little bit more oversight on exactly what's happening with devices that are accessing a Google account. One of my favorite features, if you've got a larger team, so more than 15 or 20 employees, is to switch on device approvals. When you've got a larger business, you're probably going to start to take security a little bit more seriously. And you probably want to be making sure that the devices that are connecting to your Google Workspace account have antivirus or endpoint management of some sort on them. You want to make sure that someone isn't signing on a public computer and then leaving their account signed in and potentially exposing company information. You may want to add things like device policies, so that if a mobile device is connecting to your account, you want to make sure that it's got a passcode set up on that device. So if someone leaves their iPad or their phone on a train, someone else is not going to pick it up and get access to all of your company information. And this is where device-based policies start to come into place. Now, the most basic one you can switch on is device-level approvals. Device approvals allow you to manually approve each device that connects to your account. So someone signs in, it goes to like a quarantined waiting mode, and then you can choose as the admin to approve or deny that device accessing your account. The second one, which is useful, is mobile device management features. Now, some of these are available across all plans for Google Workspace. Some of these are restricted to Business Plus and Enterprise plans only, particularly some of the Android features, which allow you to go really deep into the customization of mobile devices. But some of the most popular ones that I recommend for customers to implement would be things like enforcing passwords. If a device is connecting to your Google Workspace account, whether it's Android or iOS, you can enforce that that device has a passcode. Now, I don't think you necessarily need to go crazy and asking someone to have a 10-digit multi-character password, but at least making sure that they do have a passcode is enough of, it's better than nothing, right? It's enough to make sure that the device is not going to be just an open free-for-all if it's ever lost. Some of the other things that you may want to do is have the ability to corporate wipe that device. The ability to corporate wipe a device means that you have a button that you can press where you delete all of the company information from that device. And so if someone has, for example, an Android device and they have set up an Android for Work profile, inside that Android for Work profile, you may have things like a project outside that someone's taking photos of and saving it into their phone's work profile. Now, if that employee is terminated from the company or the contractor is no longer working with your business, you may choose to remove all of that company data and company information from the device. And that's your right, as long as you've got that signed off by legal and in your employment agreements. If someone's putting company data on a personal device, you want to be able to have a feature to remove that as well. Now, in some cases, it may make sense to set up a geofence or location tracking for mobile devices. That's going to depend on your business use and your business situation, but you do have the ability to set that up with the mobile device management features as well. So theoretically, if you're a user in a company or you're an IT administrator, you basically do have the ability to see what devices are connecting to the work account and potentially their precise location that they're connecting from as well. Yeah, you might think that's a little bit scary, but there's good reason for that in some business cases. I'll leave that up to you and your HR team, and of course, your legal representative to give you advice on rolling that out to your employees. Great question though, I like that one. Cool, okay, let's move on to our next question. Great questions today. If you're on the live, make sure you're dropping your questions in. I'm going to go and check if there's any new questions that have come through today. I can't actually see the date that these were submitted, so bit hard to know if they've been put on the session or not. If you're on the live, just drop me a little message, say hello on the chat if you've dropped a question into our live Q&A. Hey G, how you doing? Georgia's our producer, guys. Say hello to Georgia. She's our marketing manager for the team and helps produce all of these lives. Okay. All right. I think I'm going to go back to popular. See what we can find here. Yeah, G is queen. G is queen of cracking the whip for me to make more content for you guys. So yeah, we're getting a bit more rigorous with our schedule now, thanks to G. Okay, so how to get Google Workspace for education. Oh, that's pretty straightforward. If you have an education-focused domain and you need to prove that you're an educational institution, I assume just with your registration documents, depending on the location that you're in, you just go to Google and sign up. I think it's called Google for Edu. I think that's the actual website. Yeah, just go sign up. Register like normal. It's a normal Google Workspace account with a few extra features, and then you're good to go. All right, I'll mark that one answered. Okay, Max asks, we were an early adopter of Google Workspace in 2010. Since then, we've done a rebranding, and I would like to make our alias domain the primary. I've not been able to find this process documented and a step-by-step and or video guide. Great question. Max, we don't cover the whole process for that because there are a lot of intricacies that we manage when we do this for a customer that I'm not yet comfortable to just put out there to the world. The short version of that is if I gave you bricks, cement, and timber, I wouldn't trust you to build a house for me if you're not a builder. And so that's why, until now, we've decided not to give away our IP and our full process on changing the primary domain. We've got lots of videos on planning for a brand change. We've got lots of videos on the strategy of changing those brands and the limitations of domains and those kind of things. There's about 10 of those on the channel. So if you just search for multiple domains or you search for alias domain, you'll find some information on that. But until now, we've not yet released the guide. We may release the guide. Look out for that in the future. It might not help you yourself. But I will say that it is a very, very affordable project to have our team manage that for you. We're in the game of time arbitrage. And so our whole business is trying to save you time and trying to save you effort. If we have productized something, it's because we think it's smarter for us to do it than for you to bother doing it. Either watching a million videos online, reading the manual, making your own stuff ups, and then having to recover from those, spending your time doing the actual implementation. If we've made a product around it, which we have a domain change product, it's called Quick Fix, then it probably just makes sense for us to do it. It's a couple $100 for our team to manage it for you. They'll make sure there are no issues with the process. If you're interested in that, click the link below, have a chat to our team. They'll walk you through the process, scope it out. If you've got like 1,000 users or something like that, I will be very happy to help you with the planning of that. If you're like a small business and you've got 20 people, that's cool too. We've got a solution for both of those. Okay, great question. I'm assuming you're on a paid account as well. To the person who asked that question, because you've got to be on a paid account to be able to change your primary domain. Oh, this is another doozy. How do I find out who Conrad Hansen ptg@gmail.com chats with? I don't know. Ask them. Is this like is this a stalking? Or I shouldn't make fun of that actually. But is this a lover's quarrel? And you're trying to find out. Wow, we've got some wild questions today. I'm going to mark that one down. Cool. Why does Chrome under heavy load with 3 displays run better on a PC? That's interesting. Compared to what? Compared to a Chromebook or compared to a Mac? I'm not sure. Chrome is heavy, full stop. It's heavy on RAM. When I spec a computer, I usually double what I think I'm going to need on RAM because Chrome it's really, really heavy. And being a business owner and a little bit on the spectrum of ADHD behaviors and traits as well, I tend to do not always a lot of things at once, but I tend to have a lot of things to manage. And so therefore I've got a lot of tabs open, right? And I've got one login Chrome profile for my Google business profile, and then I've got one for my personal Google Workspace account, which I use for managing my personal company, my personal investments, and everything else. And each one of those might have 10 or 15 tabs open each. I usually only have 5 to 10 on my business profile, but my personal one might have research, it might have random stuff on there that I just leave open for a while, right? On my Mac, I've got I think 32 gigabytes of RAM. I spec'd this one up partly because I do live streams, but also partly because I never want Chrome to have to slow down. I don't have a magic solution for making Chrome better with RAM. There are some solutions that Google has put in place, like their They call it tab speed up, but basically it's pausing your tabs in the background when you're not using them. That's useful if you've got a computer that you can't upgrade the RAM on and you just need a solution. But personally, I don't like waiting for the tabs to have to reload, and sometimes I'll lose data if I'm like halfway through filling out a form and that tab. I mean, theoretically that shouldn't happen, but it does happen from time to time, right? So if I leave a tab open somewhere, I don't want any chance of Google switching off that tab. So my preference is to just go crazy on RAM so it never slows down for me. But I know that's not an amazing solution for everyone. Why is it working better on your PC than it is on, I assume, a Mac or something else? I don't know. But perhaps it's better optimized there. I don't know. It seems odd. It seems odd. Funnily enough, many Google engineers actually run on Macs. You actually have to get a permit, or this is what I heard in the old days. You actually have to get a permit to run a Windows machine inside Google if you're an engineer. And it might be for specific testing. I think that's primarily for security because Macs are Unix based and they're a little bit more secure as an operating system. But there you go, a little bit of Google trivia for you. Okay, sorry I couldn't be more help with that question. All right, let's move to the next one. Can I ask, for a paid member, can we create unlimited session per day? So we can create 25-minute session. Then that means we can have from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., we can set up 8 sessions. I don't know what that means. Is that maybe related to our concierge program? Getting help from our tech team? Maybe. Yeah, sure. Like if you want 8 hours of our support team, go nuts. I don't know what you would do for 8 hours with our support team. Usually we're a bit faster fixing things. We're not going to run a training for you unless you pay for and organize that separately. That's out of scope of the standard support team. But yeah, go for it. If you want multiple support requests per day with our team, and you want lots of hand holding, and you want our team to walk you through some little bits and pieces in your Workspace account, jump on a concierge. It's a great program. It's all you can eat. And our team are experts in Google Workspace. And if the person you're working with doesn't know how to answer a question, we've got some real senior people who've been working with me for like 10 years, and they know it better than probably anybody else in the world. We also have a dedicated engineering and development team that can build apps, scripts, connections, zaps, whatever you want to move data in and out of the Google ecosystem. So if you're interested in Concierge, please go ahead and check out our website, itgenius.com. The Concierge program is here. It is very, very affordable. The price is going up soon, by the way. So jump onto that before the price does go up again. Seems to be running a little bit slow today. There we go. Yeah, but there is just so much that we can get done inside of Concierge for you if you're a small business owner running on Google Workspace. It's like all you can eat IT support in the Google world. And you can see here, we do endpoint monitoring if you want that managed. If you want a team training, we can organize that for you. We include backup as a part of it. You get some backup licenses, and then we include support for like all these other apps as well. So if you want to get something done in Asana, you want to build out a project template. If you want to build out an automation, so when someone hits your website as a lead, you automatically have a chat pop up in your group team chat. We'll build that for you in Zapier. If you want to roll out a help desk system like we have, that gives like, thumbs up and thumbs down for your customers, and analytics on how quickly your staff are responding to your customer requests, and give you dashboards and SLAs and reports and all that kind of thing. We'll set that up. That's an app called Hiver, a global partner for Hiver, global partner for Asana, global partner for Backupify. And so all of that small business ecosystem we're experts in, and Concierge is basically your all-you-can-eat for small business consulting around each one of those apps. So implementing tasks, implementing automations and better workflows, that's what we're all about. Great question. Okay, cool. Let's move on to our next one. I'm doing the job of an assistant, and I have to manage my boss's Google Calendar. My concern is that I want to add tasks, but when I'm adding them, it's being added to my calendar. Cool. Okay. Well, let's do our first demo for today. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to jump into a blank task here. And you'll see here that on the left-hand side of my screen, I have multiple calendars. And so my dark blue calendar here is my itGenius calendar. And there are a few calendars that have been shared with me. So we've got Scott, our CEO. I have my own personal calendar, which actually lives in another Google account outside my company. And I want to, for example, if I want to look at one of my colleagues' calendars, like maybe Georgia, our producer, I can click on this and it's going to show me somebody else's calendar events alongside my events. Now, if I want to meet with someone, it's pretty easy, right? I just type in the name of the people that I want to meet with. So I go ahead and say, okay, let's say I want to meet with Georgia and my PA Gypsy. I can go ahead and put an event on all of our calendars with one click, and it's going to show me the times when each one of us are available. That's going to make it really easy for me, right? But if, for example, I am an assistant and I want to create an event for somebody else, well, I need to put that event on somebody else's calendar. And there's two steps to this. First up, you've got to have that person share their calendar with you. And so that's pretty straightforward. Let's look at how we do that. They're going to go to their calendar settings on their account. They're going to go to sharing settings, and they are going to go to access permissions, and they're going to add your email account to the people who can access. Now, my recommendation would be that they allow you the permission to make changes there. Okay, cool. So once we've got that done, that's done. Excellent. Okay, the next step is actually creating events. And there's two ways that you can create events. You'll see here that I'm looking at a day view, and I can see multiple calendars here on the day view. I can just click on the calendar I want to create an event for. Now, we've got this Peter Moriarty calendar here, which is, it's actually not my business calendar, it's my second calendar. I can choose to create an event here. Call that test event. And that sits on the external calendar. Now, if I wanted to create an event and place it on another calendar, there's actually a second way that I can do that. And I'll go back to week view to show you what that looks like, because this is how I usually create events to place on a separate calendar. I'll drag and drop my event like normal, and I'll create my event. And then you'll see here that I have a drop down of calendar. I can click on the calendar name and choose which calendar I would like to drop that event onto. And so if I choose to put that on Scott's calendar, who I have access to, I can place it there. If I want to place it on my external personal calendar, I can place it there. We even have group calendars that we use for different teams in the business, and I can place it on a group calendar, meaning that anyone who has access to that group calendar will be able to see the event. So there you go. That's how you create your events when you have someone else's calendar that you want to place them on, or a group-based calendar that you want to place them on. Any follow-up questions, let me know. All right, that's a good question. Actually getting into some DIY. We haven't done much DIY today. Okay, can they see any other browser activities? Say, if you are signed into Chrome, which is a work account, but then have another browser open like Safari, would they be able to see what you are doing or any activity from the sites you visited in Safari? Probably not. Unless someone's got endpoint monitoring on your computer, like an antivirus that also maybe looks at what you're up to. Or if you're in an office and they have a managed router, that would be tracking what websites are accessed by all the computers in the office. And I get this question every week. What can my boss see? What can people see? Basically, if you're on a work device or you're at a work location, expect that things can be seen. That's the simple answer. That's the blanket answer to all of those. I think we can just cut and paste that. Maybe I need to make one video that I can just cut and paste in every comment that I get on that every week. Just expect that people can see what you're up to. That's pretty simple. All right, what do we got here? How are you? I'm wonderful, thank you. I'm a little bit tired, but I'm okay. Philippines time zones are getting me up early. So I started early today, 4 o'clock. Okay. I forgot to give you info. Google Chrome revision. What on earth is that? Don't know. Okay. I'm Sherry. You are the first person I have hopes for this. All right, we're getting down to some very interesting stuff. Migrate users from one account to another. All right, we covered that. Verification. Okay, you need to give us a bit more to work on. Give us a bit more to work on. Okay, now we get into the spam comments. Okay. How can I use any form of Google like I'm using Microsoft OneNote? I've tried Google Keep, but it doesn't fit the requirements. It's like combining docs and sheets in one space. I've been trying to figure this out for a while now, unsuccessfully. Example to use for sheets to have sub-spreadsheets. I'm sorry, I don't have a good answer for you. I haven't used OneNote in a while, apart from a little bit of testing for a video we're just releasing. But I'm certainly not a power user with OneNote, and I'd love to see Google take some more moonshots with different ways of working with documents and data, where Google are quite simplistic in the products that they build and that they develop, particularly in the Google Workspace ecosystem. Microsoft, I think, is one of their advantages. They're a bit more daring. Now, some of their products can get a bit more like convoluted, right? Because they've got lots of features and stuff. But one of the advantages is there's more that you can do. I don't have a good answer for this for something in the Google world. There may be something one day that comes out of one of Google's labs, and there have been many attempts over the years to structure data differently in the Google world, but I don't see anything on the horizon coming very soon, which is a bit of a bummer. It is what it is. I wouldn't go to Microsoft, certainly not, unless you want to use OneNote in the browser. I don't know how good that is. But otherwise, I guess I would recommend looking at something else like maybe Airtable to look at other ways of visualizing, managing, structuring your data as you need to. Notion is another really popular one. I've used Notion for a bit. Another comparison coming out on note-taking apps very shortly. That's the one that covers Notion. What else have we got coming out on that one? Notion, OneNote, Apple Notes. That'll be on the channel in a matter of days or weeks. But nothing else I got for you on that. Sorry about that one. Okay, can you add hyperlinks to a group space? I don't know. I can't remember if you can. I think you can pin messages. I don't know if you can pin them for the group. Let's go and have a look. Let me find a group that I can use. Okay, I'm going to have to find a group that doesn't have commercially sensitive information in here. It's always fun. Okay, water cooler. All right, let's try this. Now, can I pin a message? I can star a message, which is just for me. I don't think you can currently pin messages for everyone in the group. You do have files, which is where you attach files, and you do have tasks. And if you wanted to pin something for everything to see, you could put the URL in a task. And I've actually done that in our marketing team. We have a URL that lets the team join our Instagram chat group. That's just sitting in a task. But no, I do not believe, unfortunately, that you can add a hyperlink to a group space by default or out of the box. Okay, I can't have access to my Google Workspace Administrator account. I'm assuming that's because you've either had it configured by someone like a web host or a web developer or someone like that, and they're not giving you the stuff, or yeah, I don't know. That's hard to say. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you're locked out. If you're locked out, jump on a quick fix. itgenius.com, get a quick fix. We'll get you back into your account in no time. Yeah, but that's a bit of a vague one. All right. I can't receive my email. Oh my God, we're going back to day one. Okay. We have a million videos on DNS on our channel. Search DNS, and we have troubleshooting videos if you are stuck and not able to access your email, or if it's not coming in, if you're not receiving emails. How can I view all team members' schedule? Oh, this is great. Okay, so I just kind of covered that in Calendar, but by default, Google has read-only access to everyone's calendars across the organization. So that makes it pretty easy for you to see everyone's calendars. You may have to switch this on in the admin panel if you've not yet done it. And so it's in calendar settings. It's pretty straightforward, but let me show you where to go to get that. Looks like I should have put my little square on the right-hand side of the screen because I'm overexposed in this bit of white wall there, and that would have just blended in nicely. Sucks to be my editors. Okay, let's go and look for calendar. What are we looking for here? Sharing. So there's a default sharing setting. Here we go. Internal sharing for primary calendars. Within itGenius, default is to share all information. So you've got this toggle here where you can choose what people see on each other's calendars by default. Now, they have the option to change this, but you can choose for internal sharing. By default, everyone can see all information, and external sharing as well. My recommendation is to lock that down so anyone outside the company can only see whether you're free or whether you're busy. So it means that no one in the company can share their calendar more than this to people outside the company. For us, we've got 60 people in the business. We've become a mid-market sized company. Security has become more important to us now, and that means that we need to have that locked down. Okay, remember that settings like this are all based on organizational units. So if you haven't set up different organizational units, you can apply different settings for different people. Maybe you want executives to be able to share their calendars externally. Sure, that's fine. Put them in an organizational unit, set up the policy just for that org unit. But the policy for the company, you do at the top level, and then it trickles down to all the other units from there, unless overridden individually. Cool, okay, let's move on to our next one. I encountered confusion regarding the process. When attempting to add a new user, it appears I'll be charged an additional 20 per user per month. Does that mean in addition to the base fee of 20? No. You just pay once per user. That's it. So, yeah, that one looks a bit odd. No, you're only charged for each bucket of email. That's the easiest way to think about it. One user is one bucket of email. That's all you get charged for. I have a domain from Namecheap and a private email. How do I set up the private email into Gmail? Basically, I want to log in my private email to Gmail. Okay, you do forwarding. And we've got a couple of videos covering that. If you search the channel for forwarding. Whoops. Let's put that in the right spot. Channel search. You want to do, I think it's this one. Retrieve external email. Yeah, there's a number of videos here on just search forwarding and have a look through some of those. Okay. I would like to get help to bring my small business emails over from Microsoft Office 365 to Google Workspace. How can I get started? I am so glad you asked, sir. This is our core business. We do this all day, every day, helping customers migrate emails between different accounts. If you're interested in some help with that, then reach out to our team. Click the link down below. We have very affordable migration plan options, whether you are a sole trader, just a solopreneur, or if you're running a medium or large-sized business. Okay, what is next on the list? How do you change the primary domain when you purchase with Google Workspace? I've covered that, and there's lots of videos on the channel. Oh my God, we're going to get all of our questions done. I can't believe it. Can I see if my college uses my documents with others on Google Workspace? I don't know what that means. Maybe it's colleague. If they use your document with others. Well, I would say the best place to look for whether or not a document is being used or shared to others is, of course, to look at the sharing settings inside the document. So you hit the blue button, go to share, see if anyone else is listed there. But you also have the option to check whether someone else has viewed a document. And let me show you what that looks like. Once again, See if I can find a document here. When you click on to, is it in history? No, that's not the one. Where's the button gone? There used to be like a little Harry Potter zigzaggy kind of button. Maybe because I'm not the owner? That's bizarre. Okay, the button's gone. Show comments. All right, I've lost the button, guys. I'm sure someone can correct me in the comments if you know where that button is. maybe it's here in, no, it's not in Virgin history. Okay, very strange. But in the past, you could see the history of who accessed a document. Maybe because I don't own this document, it's not available to me. I don't know. Hard to say. But that's all right. We'll end it there. One of the questions proper stumped me. You can't win them all. Thank you so much for joining. Just a reminder, if you've not yet considered it, head along to our bootcamp. We have a brand new bootcamp that we are running, itgenius.com/bootcamp. Really excited to present this. Let me open up and drop that into my chat here so you can get access to it. If you've not yet been to a bootcamp, I highly recommend these. These are the best place to get started with Google Workspace and getting more out of the platform. If you have been around even for 5 or 10 years in the Google Workspace world and you want to learn more, you want to make sure you're getting all the basics right, I have not had a single person come along who has asked for a refund or who said that it wasn't massively worth their time. Our ratings are literally 9 and 9.5 out of 10 on the surveys that we send out after these, and we are just running them over and over again because they're so popular. So if you haven't been to one, come to one, come and learn a bit more, spend a bit more time with me, hands-on in the Google Workspace world. You can jump onto the link there, itgenius.com/bootcamp. We've got our latest one coming up in a month's time. It is April 16 of this year. It's just a half day. It's like 4 or 5 hours of powerful Google Workspace stuff, and I'm going to be sharing with you all of the best bits of Workspace. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye now. See you in the next one. If you've got follow-up questions or you're watching this on the replay, please say hello. Let me know where you're watching from, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Take care.